Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday evening here. We're kind of towards the end of the day, chilling out. Logan's having a beer.
It's actually just an apple juice.
Logan's having an apple juice. Even better. I have a glass of water over there. But we're here at Queen of Dragons over in the clubhouse. And last week we tried to get an interview going out in the garden. And the video we got was great, but we didn't get good vocals. So I want to introduce Logan, who happens to be the son of one of my favorite people in the world, in Shasta County, all around. James Benno fought the law, and James won. Taught the boys how to do it. And he also taught them to how to grow probably the best weed I've ever tried. We call it Benno Meds. But today we're gonna take a look at the new strain that's out. And I saw a picture of it in Logan's garden on Facebook. So I called him up and I said, "Is that for real? Because it looks like a fern." And apparently it is. So I'm going to run a little bit of video here for you. So you can actually see what the doggone thing looks like. It's unbelievable. Here we go. We'll make that a little smaller and less obnoxious. And Logan, we can keep talking because there is absolutely no sound on
All
that.
right. So the Freak Show is actually a strain that I didn't create myself. From what the internet shows, a breeder who calls himself Shapeshifter had crossed up a 3 to 4 way cross of a Big Bud crossed with a Big Sur crossed with Banana Kush and potentially a skunk number one is what I've read on the internet. And it's been something that has recently been distributed by Humboldt Seed Company in the past few years. And
There it is.
I decided my chance at trying to grow the Freak Show outside to its fullest potential, like I know I can do. And she's doing a beautiful job. Definitely looks like a fern. You do get different phenotypes, terpene profiles, and overall growth structures out of the Freak Show. So, I mean, it is something that isn't for a beginner grower. You don't know how to care for the plant. It's not going to grow as big because she is a slow grower for quite a while. But very
No,
beautiful
it's
plant.
Australian,
So
they say. Some say.
it's there's different information kind of connections out there on the internet, like what says what is crossed with what, and 90% of it says it's the Big Sur cross with the Banana Kush crossed with the skunk number one and so forth. I don't know if any of those come from Australia, to be honest, but there are like crosses up with Australian genetics of the Freak Show. I just, depends on who you ask, I guess. But I'm gonna believe the breeder Shapeshifter and go based off of the genetics that he shares with what he created it with. So it is going to be a beautiful combination. They say it's very either citrusy or it can be skunky. It could be sweet and blue dreamy. Just depending on the phenotype you get.
Well, as they say, we're fixing to find out, huh?
Right. So I'm growing at least 7 or so different phenotypes of the Freak Show. Not all of them are in the bigger pots, but I couldn't give them up just because I want to see how each phenotype turned out and its overall growth patterns.
I'm excited about this, and these boys, Logan and his brother Jacob, have been raised on growing just everything, and then also mixing their soil. I mean, their dad was a famous, fabulous soil mixologist.
So we do a nice organic blend for our soils. Nothing is going to be chemical or salt newts. It's all going to be organic. We do the raw amendment kind of mixture ratio, and the only secret I have behind that is how much I add of what or when I add it. And, but yeah, you just prime your soil like nice and organic, and you're gonna have the happiest, most organically fed plant you could possibly ask for. Quality wise, it's gonna be the best. You love your plants, and they're gonna love you back.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so this year, majority of the plants are pretty sizable. The FREEKSHOW aren't the biggest compared to the rest of my genetics, but it's a new addition to the group of my little collection, and I'm gonna continue to do my own take on the FREEKSHOW and breed in some potential other like genetic donors to add for flower terpene profiles, colors, other beautiful characteristics
Yeah.
that the freak, you know, not that it's not already a beautiful plant, it's just it's always nice to enhance a potential genetic trait into something that's not already there. So definitely it's going to be a fun process breeding with the FREEKSHOW and growing um, her pretty much time and time again. I'll do at least one plant every year, at the very least, just for fun to see how big I can get her. But she is a beautiful
To see
plant.
where it's gonna go, yeah. Goodness.
She is definitely a beautiful plant, one of a kind. I would say there's very few anomaly cannabis plants that you come across in a lifetime. I've been growing personally myself, you know, close to 20 years now. I know that's not as much as others, but within my time frame, I have accumulated a good amount of information and knowledge for myself, and just kind of seeing where the strains lead us.
Yeah.
They have other, like I said, strange anomalies. There's one out there called a duck's web, which that one I hear comes from Hawaii region, and it's to where the leaf structure itself is actually webbed together like one solid leaf, and you get little individual fingers that actually kind of poke off the tip of your leaves. So it's like a catcher's mitt, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how that plant grows. And she was a very beautiful, sizable plant. And to come across these anomalies is really just kind of a privilege when it comes to growing the cannabis plant, because they all share that similar genetic structure with the leaf pattern, and FREEKSHOW's a one of a kind of its own. But like they say, it looks like a fern, and if you didn't know what you were looking for,
You know, that's, I was,
yeah,
when I was talking to the audience last week, I said that the cool thing is you could grow this in a lot of places, because I wouldn't have recognized it myself.
realistically,
You
it's
know?
a matter of when the flower sets in on the plant is really the only time you could kind of get an idea of what it is, because the fragrances it puts
Yeah.
off. 'Cause
That
it-
big bowl.
yeah, it still puts off nice sizable flowers.
Well, Logan's offered to let us come. It's just starting the flowering process, but he's offered to let us come back out mid-flower and at the end.
We're
So we can see.
we're definitely gonna keep an up to date kind of like involvement on the way the plant's developing.
I can't wait to see it.
Overall nut structure, the way it smokes, how enjoyable the flavor is, how sticky it is. We're gonna want to see all the characteristics each different phenotype can bring forward, and definitely we're stoked about it.
Yeah. I want to show the other part of the garden as well.
I mean, I
Wow,
have
really
for
see
many
it.
years been working with genetics that my dad has accumulated over the years since before I even got involved in it. So to really carry on his legacy of being, I guess, what I would consider as professional as it gets, organic cannabis farmer, for its optimal medicinal values, not just growing plants for their THC qualities, but for CBD values as well. Just because to find plants that have the perfect CBD ratios that work for the ailments that you need is kind of far and few to find one that yields really nice. But
Well, you guys definitely grew the plant API, anomalous purple indica, that got me out of a white wheelchair back in 2013.
and I still have that strain till this day.
Yeah,
We've been holding that genetic continuously and keeping it happy and stabilized in mother form for a good over 15 years now.
yeah, it's one of the most important, I think. It's a very, very high CBD, a very broad
It's nice and
cannabinoid spectrum, so good medicine. And not a lot of THC, so it's
That one-
Monday.
that one carries, I believe, 6% THC, 14% on the CBD, and even 4% on CBG, which to find a strain that has 4% CBG is very far and few, because usually we find it in fractions of a percent. So that's a very one of a kind strain to have, and that's what I'm gonna work on myself, locking down into a seed genetic variation to where we can just pop some API seeds, and if somebody wants that, bam, we got it. But I mean, each phenotype is gonna be different percentile ratios on
Yeah,
what the medicinal benefits are gonna be. So the API just naturally has that perfect 2-to-1. So the hopes are to find a bunch more like that for the breeding process. Just it's all a numbers game.
well, the broader the terpene profile is, I think the better when you're talking about medicinal. So, I mean, a lot of, for recreational, they've kind of bred out the terpene profile and just ramp that CBD up high.
Yeah.
And,
So that's really,
that's life in the big city though, right?
yeah.
That's right.
So I mean, I do grow a nice variety of high THC dominant plants as well. I would say for my outdoor, I do push up to 28% on the THC levels, and that's really good for outdoor. There's going to be
Wow.
more higher on the total
28% THC on his outdoor, what strain?
It could be a variety of different THC strains. The Girl Scout cookie is a good one. I do my pineapple OG, which I've been mothering out for quite a long time. Any of my genetics, for the most part, usually average up to 26 to 28%.
Yeah,
They can be as low as 24, depending on the genetic, but that's genetics too as well. But I tell you what, I'll put the outdoor up against a lot of indoor, head to head. It'll compete for sure. May not be as beautifully controlled indoor frosty, but I mean, to get that medicinal benefit, you can't replicate the sun's power.
no, I don't like it. Medicinally, I think it should be
Right. Right.
the old fashioned way. The way it's been used
Right.
since even actually before the beginning of recorded history, because they just found a tomb of some guy up in Siberia, mummified. It must have been a shaman, and he had a medicine pouch, and the only thing in it was just a big wad of cannabis. I'm like, imagine that,
I bet you there were seeds in that weed though too.
I didn't ask.
Oh, I'm just
No, wouldn't that be cool if somebody would grow that? Because can you imagine what it must have been like back then?
right. He has the seeds. How's the
Baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
To have all those old school genetics, that's the key to having all these cross-ups that we have today. It all originates from a very select few of like lineage, different genetics that were very close together, and they're like us. They're a lot like people, brothers and sisters. So you're gonna get many characteristics and different phenotypes within the family kind of classification of those genetics.
Yeah.
They're never gonna be identical. You'll find some similarities. Shoot, you might even find one that's a pretty close ringer to the original parent that you're working with, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get so many different variations and characteristics and own traits, like say you and I would have, that the plants bring forward as well. So that's how you get all these different strains and genetics. You just kind of take a really nice one that you find within that batch of seeds, and then backbreed to that specific mother using a clone back and back again and again, using the same exact parent, and then maybe just, the next male, the next male, the next male from your next batch of seeds to stabilize something into a nice unique genetic that is now a strain of its own versus
And a broader strain,
Right.
because it's, it's got the profile of both parents.
they're all going to be related to a point at that time, like they all are, but all these different variations is what you did, 'cause we all have our own, I guess, attitude and characteristics with us.
We have all the geneticists up here too in Northern California. Logan's at the top. But man, I've spoke some crazy stuff people have crossed and it wasn't stabilized yet, and really high anxiety and just not a stable plant yet.
Mhm.
So
Well, it's definitely comes a lot to do with genetics, the way you even harvest your flower, the curing process, the trimming process. It all comes into play to create the best flower. You can take the best, top quality plant that was grown indoor or outdoor, and if you harvest it wrong, you're gonna make some bad products. The flower's not gonna be anywhere near what it could have been. So everybody has their own tricks to how they harvest and trim, and whether you net dry, hang dry, wet
how to
trim,
make oil.
make oil.
Many roads and to lead to good oil.
And there is no right way to go about it. There's just always the way the plant prefers to be grown, or the way, there's a better way, of course, to produce a medicine or to make an extract of any sort, but everybody has their own methods, their own ways they go about it, and of course you do get different qualities that way. So there's never a wrong way to grow a plant or to make a medicine of any sort with the cannabis concentrates of any sort, but some do turn out better than others, and it's all about the skill set. You gotta have
That's
that
about
skill
it, and about making sure that you're not destroying
set.
the properties that you want to use as medicine.
So there's a lot of variations and ways to go about caring for the plant, how it cares back for you as well. It's kind of like a give and take love relationship. You both got to care for each other and support each other. You love your
And
plant,
it works
the
like
plant's
that.
going to love you back.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, remember who it was Clint Warner's
Or,
spouse,
mhm.
Robert, did quite a long study and found out that cannabis patients who participated in the growing of their medicine received more benefit from it.
Oh yeah, just
And-
overall therapeutic values to the
Yeah.
garden.
Yeah,
It's as simple as harvesting tomatoes or growing squash, or watering your tulips that are right out front on your
Yeah.
little porch. It's the same therapeutic serotonin that gets released from the brain.
absolutely.
So it's just a form of therapy and medicine within itself, besides even consuming the plant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think that that's gonna be just, essential medicine in the coming years, because, we've gotten so messed up by big pharmacy and all the crap they wanna give us. It turns out to be poison and gets pulled off by the FDA and blah, 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 blah. So the more people who, can make their own medicine, the better. And Trisha on Tuesday nights has a good herbal remedy show where she talks all about that. Right here on LSR, Last Scout Radio. Online. Is there anything else that you'd like to thank the folks?
For the most part, I think we covered the basis on of the video about the freak show and just all the extra information that we had to inform the community about the benefits of cannabis, the medical aspects, just overall therapeutic benefits to having the garden besides actually ingesting the cannabis plant.
Yeah, well, we can get into more
Yeah, we can
when we
always.
go mid-flower.
Oh, we're always going to get into more. I can go on and on and on about genetics and the way to track your growth patterns and overall
Oh,
just
yeah,
to care for the plant and my organic regimens that I would do, or just how I would care for the plant, whether it's the support system to keep the plant sturdy during the whole year. I used to use plant tape and like bamboo netting or framing. Now I do the trellis net. The trellis net's the way to go, but I still do a nice
Yeah.
bamboo box frame as you saw in the video.
and all that you learned by trial and error, you
Right.
came up with what worked the best for the situation that you're in.
Oh, I've messed up in every which way you can imagine. That's the only way I've gotten any good.
These guys moved the whole ranch 3 times. It was quite a, and every time they'd have it rebuilt from the ground up. So fast, it would blow your mind.
Yeah, it's definitely
Ah.
something I know I can do. If you need a garden built for you professionally, I'm your guy.
He's your guy. So would you be willing to come on, maybe even sometime over the weekend, come into the back office and answer some questions?
Oh, yeah.
With all the folks.
Yeah, we can
Okay,
always make a little.
we might even hop in the back office now for a second, but I am gonna end this recording.
All right, it was nice talking to all y'all.
Yeah, so we really appreciate you. Peace out.